It's happening again. The Denver Nuggets played their first preseason game of the 2025-2026 NBA season last night versus the Minnesota Timberwolves and had a bit of a rough defensive start. Amy Sutherland here for Nuggets Digest. If you aren't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below. Join our Nuggets Digest community. Stay up to date on all things Denver Nuggets. Hear the Denver Nuggets news. Here are recaps of the games as soon as we get the chance. Last night, the game versus the Minnesota Timberwolves was pretty rough to watch, honestly, as a lot of Nuggets preseason games are, as a lot of NBA preseason games are, because the players are clearly load managing. They're ramping up for the NBA season. I don't have super high expectations of all that Nikola Jokić is going to come out and have a 30-point triple-double, that Jamal Murray is going to be playoff Murray. No, I don't have these expectations. But watching last night, the effort on the defensive end was pitiful, if we're being honest. And that's something that the Denver Nuggets have lacked in many seasons past. And one of the reasons why many people thought that they weren't going to be able to win an NBA championship because of their defensive struggles. David Adelman had this to say last night after the game. He said, "It was a lot of individual one-on-one just blow-bys. I didn't think the coverage had anything to do with our inability to stay in front of guys." That was when he was asked about if the strategy was off. No, David Adelman said it was individuals being blown by. Individuals not focusing, individuals not being able to stay on their man on the defensive end. Pretty rough if you ask me, and rough to watch as a Denver Nuggets fan. There were a few positive notes, but as I was watching this game, that was what mostly stood out to me. It was a bit sloppy on the defensive end, a bit sloppy on the offensive end as well, but that's to be expected with the first preseason game. I didn't, like I said, have very high expectations, but I was hoping to see a little bit of effort on the defensive end. Jamal Murray had a few great defensive plays where I thought that he had a bit more oomph to his defensive energy that he was putting in, so that could be a positive note. There were three count 'em, starters from the Minnesota Timberwolves that did not play. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, and Mike Conley, and the Denver Nuggets still lost 116-125. The starters from the Denver Nuggets only played the first half. They did not play any in the second half, and you might remember Bones Hyland. He played a very stellar game for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Kind of a Bones Hyland throwback game here, revenge game for Bones on the Denver Nuggets. He had a pretty decent game that he put together without a lot of the Timberwolves starters there. One thing that I loved watching was when there was an all-bench lineup. That was reassuring to see that the Denver Nuggets actually have the capacity to do that this season. In the years past, that was not even an option. I love to see the all-bench lineup out there. I love to see Jonas Valanciunas out there, and I thought he did a great job backing up Nikola Jokić. I'm going to pull up some of the statistics from last night. Here they are. Here are the starters. Aaron Gordon, 14 points. Nikola Jokić, 14. Jamal Murray, 12. Christian Braun, 7. Cam Johnson, 2. Those 2 points came off of a very nice cut from Cam Johnson and a great dime from Nikola Jokić, but not exactly what I was hoping for from Cam Johnson. Obviously, he needs to accumulate and a little bit more to the Denver Nuggets offense, but I was hoping to see him pop a little bit. He took a few three-pointers. He took 2 3-pointers and missed both of those. That's really what we're hoping for in a replacement for Michael Porter Jr. to be able to get some shots off. Christian Braun, he took 1 3 and made it. So this is a little bit of development there, but honestly, as games progress, I hope that we see more shots from Cam Johnson, more shots from Christian Braun. Aaron Gordon had a normal AG game. He was 1 for 1 from the 3-point line, 4 for 4 from the field goal, 5 from 6 from the free throw line. He's just a constant. We know Aaron Gordon is going to give us a good stat line. Nikola Jokić as well, 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. He only played just 18 minutes, so pretty good stats from him, taking all of that into consideration that he did not play a whole game. Moving to the bench, this is where things got a little bit interesting. That Jalen Pickett, he had in the second half, when the starters were not playing, Jalen Pickett had a part of the game where he was going crazy. I thought the Nuggets were going to come back because of Jalen Pickett. He was hitting a few threes. He hit 3 3-pointers. Peyton Watson honestly looks like he might have taken the next step in his career. A lot of people are commenting on that today, that Peyton Watson has shown a big leap of growth, and we're excited to see him. Obviously, we were all excited, hoping for that growth. He put in a ton of work this offseason, so kudos to him, and hopefully that upward trend keeps going, the upward momentum that he has. Strother took a few shots that were a little bit ill-advised, but he did make the 1 3-point shot that he took, and he was one of people that struggled most with getting blown by on defense, in my opinion. That's not anything new. He has always struggled with defense as an NBA player. Hopefully, as the season picks up, his focus will pick up and he can be able to improve on that end of the floor. His offense, we know he can get to the hoop. He can do his jelly finishes. He can have some good finishes around the rim. He can shoot the 3. When he's on, he's on. When he's off, he's pretty off. But the defensive end is really where I think Julian Strother needs to pick it up. Coming off the bench, Tim Hardaway Jr. was the first sub off of the bench. I had assumed it would be Bruce Brown. That was not so yesterday. It was Tim Hardaway Jr. After the game, Bruce Brown was asked about how much he enjoyed being back with the Denver Nuggets and what it was like being a primary ball handler again. He said that he loved having his hands on the ball again. He, on some of the other teams, mentioned that he had not even really touched the ball in 2 seasons. So being back on the Denver Nuggets, you could tell there was a little bit of rust there, a little bit of lack of reps in that area, but I know Bruce Brown, and as the season ramps up, his ability to control the offense in that way, to contribute on the offensive end that way, will definitely increase. So overall, a disappointing game to watch for sure, but also there were slight glimpses of very hopeful things for the Denver Nuggets as they had added all of these new pieces. Clearly, we weren't expecting this to all meld together immediately. They've only had a week of training camp, now 1 game. They have another game tomorrow night in Vancouver versus the Raptors. I know Jamal Murray will have a great time. He always shows out in Canada. So I think tomorrow night's game will be another step. As the preseason goes on, the starters will play less. They might play more. It depends on what they decide to do. But higher hopes for next game in watching the Denver Nuggets actually play some defense. That's my only hope for the game versus the Raptors tomorrow, that just in the first half, that the starters can play defense. Let me know what you think. Let me know your predictions for tomorrow night's preseason game 2 of the Denver Nuggets preseason, in the comments below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, go Nuggets.